going on, everybody? So today I'm going to be bringing you my review for The Deuce Season 3, Episode 5, because you know it's Monday night, and of course The Deuce is airing or show tonight. So I'm going to bring my review like I've been doing for the past, 4 weeks. This is the 5th week. It's on Episode 5. That means we have 3 more episodes left in this season, which is the final season, sadly. But as it starts to come to a close, you can really start seeing kind of how things are going to play out to some degree. The show still is leaving me where I don't quite see how it's going to wrap up, which I'm really proud of, because most shows, when it's the last season and it starts getting closer, you can really start to predict how it's going to end and how every character is going to be off and everything else. But with this, I honestly, I can't see it. So, in this episode, it starts off at Frankie's funeral, or like visitation, or after the funeral, whatnot, a little gathering of the small group of people that were real close to him. It's a gathering of them and them talking. You can really see how Vincent is starting to come unhinged in a way, and throughout this whole episode you can really start seeing him more and more, and like how he is trying to, he's basically just filled up with rage, because in that speech that Frankie delivered was that, he always, as the older brother, always defended his younger brother no matter the cost, and always had to look out for him. And now that Frankie's not there, Vince feels like it's now his responsibility to stand up for Frankie, even though they've always had each other's backs, no matter whatever each one of them did. No matter how many times Frankie fucked up, Vincent always had his back. Now that Frankie's not there to defend himself or Vincent feels obligated to stand up for Frankie, so he is trying to figure out who killed Frankie and see how far down this rabbit hole goes. And, it leads Vincent to crossing a line that, when this show started, I would have never thought that Vincent would cross this line, and he killed someone. He killed the person that, killed Frankie, but this guy's, dad is, in the Gambino family, so that right there, it's going to cause a whole mess of trouble for everyone, especially Vincent. And even when he promised Abby he wouldn't go through with whatever, because she could see it in him, go through with whatever he was going to do, he still did it. And I don't know how that's going to play into their relationship, because their relationship, to me, is already on a tipping point where it's either going to keep going or it's going to completely tip over and just fail. I won't get into that this review, because I've talked about that the past 2 reviews. But really curious to see how they're going to play this whole deal up with Vincent. He went off on Rudy, which Rudy, obviously he knows that Vincent's going through some things, and Rudy was having problems with Frankie. But no matter how much Frankie, screwed up, he never would have done this to Frankie, no matter what. I honestly do believe that. Now, Pipolo's right-hand man that was in business with Frankie and introducing him to all these people in the Gambino family and stuff like that. I forget his name. Longo, that's his name. Do I think he had a hand in it? Yes, I do. I really do think so, and I feel like that's going to all escalate and come about with, the whole deal with Longo and, how am I forgetting his name now? I just said his name. Rudy. It is late. But, yeah, that's all going to come to a head probably here real soon in the next 3 episodes. Obviously, it's going to come to a head. Going to, Abby, Darlene showed back up, and Darlene has now finished school. She's trying to get her nursing license, but because of her record, she can't get them. She was denied, so she's going to court for it and trying to get it appealed and get her license, and she asked Abby to come and, help her get them. And you always knew that Abby cared for, throughout this whole show, she's always cared about the porn stars, the prostitutes, even though she never really agreed with them, she always respected them and always thought of them still as people, and helped try to get them to better themselves if they wanted to get better, and Darlene was one of those. So with this, you could really tell that she was excited that, Darlene finally made it, but she was going through this one struggle, but she was still fighting. And she told how Darlene went from being a prostitute to all the way to getting her GED, all the way to here. And when they asked them, they asked him how they met, and she said, well, I was working at this bar, and she was a customer, but I really saw that, and I saw the first book that she was reading, and so on and so forth. And when the dude asked Abby what she was still doing, and she said, well, I'm still managing that same bar, she hesitated, like, I've kind of wasted these last 15 years. I feel like that's how she feels. And she shouldn't be, because she technically owns that bar now since Vincent gave it to her. But I don't know how her character is going to move forward. I think that she's going to realize that being around Vince, because Vince always just wanted to, manage bars and stuff like that. That's where he was happy, and he didn't really care how other people felt. So if she feels that way, but I don't think she truly does, and she's always wanted to do more, I feel like that's how their relationship's going to finally just split off, because she finally came to that realization. But we'll figure that out by the next couple episodes. Kandi, of course, had this really good storyline with, like, struggling to figure out, she saw her son again. Her boyfriend's off in France doing business, London doing business. Her son came back. He called her a whore and basically wants nothing to do with her. And, that got her thinking, am I a whore? And she started going back looking at all her old tapes and stuff like that. And, I really like where her character started, how she's come about. And I like the fact that they started off with her and the one dude that's always been, like, her partner in the porn business. I can't remember his name right now. But they've always been partners, and then they had, like, this huge falling out, and at the end it was nice to see them come back together and, like, okay, I will help you get, funding, because at the end of the day, he does respect her type of work, she respects his type of work, even though now they're going in different paths, they're still basically making the same thing, they want to support each other, and that's a really good thing, especially in the industry that they're in. So I like that whole ordeal. I hope that, with them bringing her son back into it, I'm hoping that we'll finally see her repair that relationship, even though I don't think we will. And then, of course, with Laurie's whole storyline, you really get to see how paranoid she is, and, she basically came to that realization that no matter how far up in the ranks that she goes and how far away she gets away from being a prostitute, she's always going to be that, there's always going to be a price for her, and she doesn't want that, so she gets real paranoid, like, going back to the old days where, like, guys basically will do whatever to get with her, and that all came from her doing a strip show, because in that time, porn stars would actually go to strip clubs, like, hey, I'm real, I'm not just someone on the films fucking that you can jack off to, I'm real, and now you can see me in real life and stuff, and even though she likes that, you can really start to tell, and I like how they, like, showed that whole segment in the hotel. Beautifully shot, well acted. The actress for Laurie is phenomenal. She's always been phenomenal, but as the years gone on, you can really see her evolve with this character as it evolved. And, like, the whole paranoid scene with the dude, like, let me fucking in, let me in, goddammit, let me in, let me in, let me in. That whole singing, like, her head and everything, that just, it was beautifully done, and it showed so much with her character and the type of mind state that she's in, and I love that for that. And then, of course, we got a lot more about Paul and Todd ended up passing away from, AIDS, and, Paul is now, they brought Todd's parents in, he couldn't remember them, or he didn't recognize them, and it was, it showed Paul, and, like, now Paul is reaching out to be with his dad, try to get, I guess, reconnect with his family, which is a great thing, and because everyone deserves to have their family, or at least someone from their family in their lives. But I'm hoping that even though he lost someone that he loves, he'll regain someone else back in his life that he lost. It's very beautiful if that's the way that they go, and it actually happens that way. But yeah, for this episode, it truly was a great follow-up from last week's episode, because last week's episode left us with Frankie dying, and I love that because of Frankie's death, it kind of, you can really see in the world, not so much Laurie and Kandi's, but you can really see all the other characters, how his death impacted them. especially Vincent and everyone around Vincent. It's really going to be interesting to see how this show ends. I think Laurie will still end up dying for some reason. I think she will end up ODing or end up just killing herself because she's not going to see any way out of this industry. She was kind of forced into it, and I don't see her ever finding her way out of it. Kandi, I think she'll make her film and possibly regain a relationship with her son. Vince, I don't see a happy ending for Vince either. I feel like Vince will end up dying more than likely. But who knows? But either way, I really did like this episode. Even the part about the cops, I'm not really going to say that, but their plan is finally moving forward because of the fire. It finally got the doctor out of there, and now they bought the, building, and now basically that whole thing is going to be like basically a war within the side of the department more than likely because of the, underground maintenance people, whatnot. However, whoever those people were, I can't remember, but the ones that helped him kind of watch the street and get those younger kids out of doing what they were doing. He has a whole different plan on how to change the city, and I feel like his plan is probably the right one, but they're not going to go that route, so we'll probably see some more fuck-ups and then lead to that. But either way, really good episode. It did have one scene that didn't matter, was the scene with the one cop and his wife, because we always saw him go to gay clubs, and I guess that was finally confirming why they showed all that. But in all retrospect, that didn't really matter. His whole character plot really didn't matter. You never needed to see him going to the gay clubs, underground clubs. You never needed to see him with his wife. All that could have been avoided, and it would have never messed with the story. But I guess since they're wrapping up, they wanted to show that. But either way, I'm going to give this episode a 5 out of 5 because even that one scene didn't really throw me off because it did have some conclusion to that whole plot line that they kind of thrown in little by little in the last season and this season. So I'm not going to fault the episode for that scene, but I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 because I really did love this episode. I thought this was probably one of the best ones of this season's, and I've loved this whole season so far if you haven't watched any of my other reviews. But anyways, guys, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think is going on with this show. How do you think it's going to end? Who do you think is going to survive? Who's your favorite character? What you think of this episode? And as always, down in the description will be links to all my social media accounts for the channel, so click on there for updates on personal life, things and work on things I'm thinking about doing, stuff like that. Also, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button because it really does help me out. Also, share it with everyone that you know. And also, hit the little subscribe button for more awesome content like this and the little bell icon to be notified when I upload. And check back every Monday night for my review of The Deuce until the season ends. And yeah, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.